Okay, so we're looking at notes for 4-7. This is example 1 on consecutive integer problems. So we talked about consecutive meaning in a row and integers meaning positive and negative whole numbers. So example 1, the sum of 3 consecutive integers is 48. Write an equation to find the 3 numbers. Okay, so in our last lesson, we talked about requirements having to be let statements, equations, solving work, and answer sentence. Those requirements are still in play here. So we still need to start with let statements. So what is this question asking me to do or asking me to find? This question is asking me to find the 3 numbers. That means I'm looking for 3 things, which means I should have 3 let statements. Write an equation to find the 3 numbers, which means it's looking for 3 things, which means there should be 3 let statements. And those let statements are going to be for each of those numbers that we don't know about. So I'm going to come off to the side here and write down some let statements. So let first number equal, let second number equal, and let your third number equal. And so this is where we start to talk about how our expressions must have variables in them. When I'm writing down an expression for these numbers, I'm not making them up. I am just simply using a variable to represent them. Okay, so let's look at some information that they give us in the problem. The sum, meaning that we're going to be doing some adding. And if you're not sure of that, you've got to look that up. You've got to look up those keywords. The sum of 3 consecutive integers, consecutive being in a row. So that's, for example, something like that 1, 2, 3, right? It doesn't say anything about positive or negative. Just those are examples. Those are not part of the question. The sum of them is 48. So when they add together, they equal 48. Write an equation to find the 3 numbers. So I know that based on what they tell me about the sum, that I'm going to add the numbers and equal it to 48, right? That sum is 48. So if I don't know what the first number is, we can use our good old trusty X to represent that. So now, if I go back to one of our examples of consecutive numbers, if X is like my first number here, like in this example, what would I need to do to X to get to the next number? What do I need to do to 1 so I can get to 2? Well, you need to take that 1 and you need to add 1 to it, right? X and X plus 1 is the next number. So then going back, what do I need to add to 1 to get to 3? Well, it wouldn't be plus 1 anymore because that would only get me to 2. It would have to be plus 2 to get me to 3. So that's where we're going to come in with those let statements here. My first number is X. My second one, whatever X is going to be, is X plus 1 because that's the number after X. And then the third is going to be X plus 2 because that would be the second number after X. All right, so now that I've got my let statements and my expressions, notice how each one has a variable. Let's make a note of that. Let's use purple. Each expression uses X. Pay attention to that. Okay, so now we're going to add those numbers together to get that 48. So that's where my equation comes in. X plus 1 plus X plus 2 is equal to that 48 that they told us about. And now we have an equation that we can solve. So this is a multi-step equation. I've got like terms that I can combine first. So I'm going to make a note of that. Let's do it in red. So x plus another x, except that's not, there we go, is going to give me 3x. And then 1 plus 2 is going to give me plus 3 is equal to 48. And after you combine those like terms, you've got a two-step equation here that you guys are really good at solving. So first thing I need to deal with to get that x piece by itself is that plus 3. The opposite of a plus 3 is minusing 3 to both sides. 3x carries down. My plus 3 and minus 3 cancel out. 48 minus 3 leaves me with 45. 3 is being multiplied by x there, so I'm going to do the opposite of that and divide both sides by 3 to get 15 as an answer. So x is equal to 15. Now careful, at this point we have not answered the question because we've only found one of the numbers, not all three. So if x is equal to 15, I'm going to take that fact and I'm going to come back over here and plug that in. So x is equal to 15, but that means the second number would be x plus 1, which is 15 plus 1, which is 16, which makes sense because 16 is the number that comes after 15. And maybe you can do a little bit of guesswork here to figure out that the third number, would be 17, because then you're doing 15 plus 2, which is 17. So, I'm a little out of breath here. Finish this guy off with, let's go, the three numbers are 15, 16, and 17. And that makes sense because those numbers are consecutive and they are integers, right? They're in a row and they're all whole numbers, not negatives. So there we go. And again, you've got those requirements. We have our let statement, we have an answer sentence, we have the equation, and we have solving.